going on, guys? Arlen J here, mindset coach for Alpha by Prodigy Mindset Gym, and this is the Cocksure Soul podcast, where we are the modern day Renaissance men, the jack of all trades, masters of all that we focus in on. Let's get focused. We're going to be talking about the energetic new year that is happening on October 1st. That's right, it is October 1st, not January 1st. I'm going to get into why this is important and why you're going to want to change your perspective on when to start goals. If you're a goal person, right? If you're living on the day-to-day and you're living in a highly conscious way, do you need to set goals? Maybe not, because you're working intuitively. You're working with what is right for you on the day-to-day. We need to get to that point. But no, before I set this all up, before I get into all of this, at the end of this podcast, I'm going to be giving you a password to go to my photography site and check out the featured model, Diani. We did a farm girl theme and it is sick, guys. She killed it. So check that out at the end of the podcast. Now, to get to our subject here, I first want to start talking again about the Renaissance man. I have it as a tagline of this podcast. What does it mean to be a modern day Renaissance man? Well, for one, it's about being in this world, but not of it. To be able to have such conscious command over your present moments. And what is conscious command anyway? Conscious command is the ability to be able to stop a negative thought that comes from faulty subconscious wiring. Stop that negative thought in its tracks. Be able to pivot out of it, shift your thoughts, shift your actions in the directions of your goals. You need to have absolute command over your consciousness to do this, but you have to train for it. You have to realize that it takes cognitive training, that it takes many different facets of self-discipline, that you need many tools to pull many tools out of your bag in order to have conscious command on the daily. One of those tools should be about looking to the cosmos, about astrology. A lot of guys do not believe in astrology, but that is going to change. And I'm going to tell you why. Let me give you some examples. I'm going to be reading from my blog here. So, Larry Schwimmer is an astrologer and advisor to Fortune 500 C-level executives. He touts himself as a new voice that combines business savvy with a metaphysical world to help important people live more complete, fulfilling lives. Check this out. Millionaires don't need astrologers, billionaires do. Those are the famous words of banker J.P. Morgan. He held the position that humanity has no control over economic happenings. It is all controlled by the cosmos. He surrounded himself with astrologers to help him make major decisions on investments and business. Raymond Merriman takes a similar approach. Merriman, president of Merriman Market Analyst, MMA, told Forbes in 2012 that his clients covet his analysis that is largely based on planetary cycles and geocosmic market turning points. He said that despite all of his clients being market geniuses, they all understand that the cosmos give them an edge over the competition. What are you utilizing the cosmos for to have an edge over? What are you using it for? Are you using it for, in your business? Are you using it for your relationships? Are you using it for personal development? For just emotional stability? Are you using it all? I'm going to give you a couple of reasons why it's important right now. Right now, we are in Mars Retrograde. Mars Retrograde is a time, and I'm going to get a little bit into the details of what this is, but quickly, this is about a time of stopping, slowing down. Now, we're all feeling like, things might not be moving as fast as we like it to. It's in obvious things, but it's also on a small scale. It's in an internal world. Maybe you have a lot of fire in you. You want to make things happen, but things aren't shifting. The contract's not coming through. People aren't returning your phone calls, things like that. This is all about retrograde, and Mars is in retrograde right now. And sometimes during this time period, we're having feelings of, man, maybe I need to change up my career. Maybe I need to go back to school. Maybe you don't need to do those things, but you're thinking it anyway. Maybe because it's a part of the conscious collective. Right now, people are thinking that on a large scale, so you yourself are thinking it as well, even though that's not what you need to do at all. We use the cosmos to understand the astrological weather. You are susceptible to being a part of the collective and the collective mindset to fall off track completely, to fall into line with the rest of the pack who might be built for negative thinking because you are not looking at the astrological weather. That is a major reason why I utilize it on the day-to-day. Because I know if something's not right and I cannot explain it, inside I'm feeling completely off, but man, I have fire for this. And yet I just, right now, things just aren't adding up. It's always in the stars. And when I see that, then I can sit back and I can utilize my mindset training, what I've developed. And from there, I make a plan. From there, I make adjustments. I pivot. Let's get into the Mars retrograde a little bit deeper here. Mars retrograde commenced on September 9th and spans through November 13th. This is basically a physical illusion of a backwards orbit around the sun. That's what a retrograde is. It is the opposite of a prograde, the normal west-east movement of the planets in the night sky, right? This phenomenon happens because a faster-moving planet catches up to a slower-moving one in a heliocentric, sun-centered solar system like ours. It's similar to how runners appear to start in different positions on a track, with some ahead of others. So, Mars is the god of war. There are many phases of war, as we know, with preparation and training perhaps being the most important, right? Well-trained regiment warriors have the best chance of victory on the battlefield. Of course they do. The Mars retrograde is a time of self-discipline. It's about being a warrior, about planning versus taking direct action. It is about an incubation period for most men, right? So right now, even though you may have the desire to push harder, the retrograde is asking us to slow down, to go inward, to look at our goals, to look at where we are and how we got here, to go back to our discipline, go back to our training, to refine it, right? And this coincides perfectly with the next point, which is the energetic new year that happens on October 1st. So let me give you a little bit of history on why our calendar is set up for January 1st, right? I'm going to go straight to my blog here. The new year, or the first New Year's Eve, I should say, celebration, it is said to have taken place circa 2000 BCE in ancient Mesopotamia. It was an 11-day festival during the March equinox, the last half of the month, right? It makes perfect sense as spring in the northern hemisphere is a time of renewal. Bears woke up from hibernation, flowers are blooming, and animals are mating. Thus, the Mesopotamian New Year coincide with natural phenomenon that happened every single year. It was the perfect setup. Now, the ancient Roman calendar also celebrated the New Year in March, in accordance with the lunar cycle. Sossianus of Alexandria was an astronomer from Egypt who claimed Greek nationality. Details of his life are scant. What is generally agreed upon by historians is that Sossianus consulted Julius Caesar in designing the Julian calendar. It followed the solar year instead of the lunar year. The new calendar took effect on January 1 in 709 AUC, the equivalent of 45 BCE. There was no astrological or otherwise significance for choosing the date as the new year. It was simply mandated by Caesar and remains to this day. Now, some articles you can look up will say it was created on this day, January 1st, for political reasons, for religious reasons, but what most agree on, it was created for power reasons. It did not line up with energy. It did not line up with nature's law. Now, October 1st, as we all feel the year changing, it is a perfect time energetically, and I'm going to get into this a little bit more here. Let's go back to the blog. A December 2019 survey by YouGov found that a good majority of New Year's resolutions have something to do with losing weight and being healthier overall. We get that, right? Saving money is also a common resolution. January presents winter, cold, and inactivity. It is impractical on its face for January to facilitate renewal and revival. Would you not agree with that? That's why a 2018 survey published by Statista found that only 4% of Americans fulfilled their resolutions. Gee, really? Again, the Mars Retrograde commenced on September 9th, right? And spans through November 13th. It coincides with the theory of an energetic new year beginning in October. Many cultures tend to agree that September is the time to plan for the new year's and for execution in October and the remainder of the Gregorian year. Rosh Hashanah is the Jewish New Year. It is always celebrated sometime in September or the first few days of October. Enkutatatash is the New Year holiday in Eritrea and Ethiopia. It takes place on September 11th or 12th every year. Marie Chaker published an article for the Wall Street Journal in 2016. She pointed out how September is back to school time, but she also cited studies showing that September is when people join gyms most often and the month people decide to change careers. Interesting, huh? So, the United States is not changing its calendar anytime soon, right? But men can absolutely take control and utilize how October 1st's energetic new year can be beneficial, right? How are we going to do this, right? Well, for one, you step off that platform. You step off believing that January 1st is the time to set up new goals. It's not going to happen. Imagine you're starting to hit the gym when it's cold outside. Not only is it difficult to start the new routine, but you're having to walk outside when it's cold and then try to get yourself to do it. Makes absolute no sense. We need to get our heads out of our asses and figure out how to do it and coincide with the energetic new year, nature's law, right? We don't want to be doing things when the bears are hibernating. Those fools think we're foolish. That's why they're chasing us down in the woods. So how are we going to do this? There's a lot of ways to go about this. But you want to get in a routine of cognitive training, right? Cognitive training is thought training. Now, you could do this many ways. Something as simple as looking up new words every single day, adding to your vocabulary, taking a different route every day. If you've got a walk that you do, you got to go a different route. You got to go at a different time. You start your training, and I know that a lot of people like to have a strict training, but you got to think about creating new neuroplasticity, right? New neural pathways by doing things differently. You put on your pants with a different leg every time. It throws your body off. It changes you. It brings you into the moment. The little things like this are going to help you. You learn how to train at different times of the day. I can tell you that I like to train sometimes late at night, 1, 2 in the morning. I train when I'm inspired. I don't train when I've written it down. I train when I feel the impulse, and I do not sit on that impulse. I would never get any writing done if I waited till later. If I, had a specific time that I write. I pull over all the time. I pull over the car all the time when I have an idea, and I write then. I write while I walk. Why? Because the walking actually gets my mind going. I use a lot of my cognitive training while I'm walking, and then from there, all of my writing spawns from there. I get all of my great ideas when I'm moving, but a lot of the time it has to come from inspiration. It has to come from me changing my routines, changing my routes. So it's as simple as that, guys. You have to figure out what is it that you can mix up in your life. Sure, there's going to be some things. You got to get to work at a certain time. You have to get to the kids to wherever it is that they have to go at a certain time. There's those things, sure. But there is plenty that you can be consciously creative of, right? So you're going to need absolute conscious command. And you're going to need to train for it, because you're not going to be able to make these new decisions if you're not conscious enough. You need to recognize that the mind, first and foremost, man, it is the most important thing that you have. And we need to be training this every single day. Romans 12:2, absolutely love it. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of the mind. You need to be training your mind every single day. And if you don't know how, you sit right now in this time. This Mars retrograde time is asking you to sit back, relax, find it, dig deep. And when you do, you will hear that inner spirit that guides you to what it is that you need to do. What's your next move? And make sure that you are taking time to create that voice, that inner voice, so that you're not a part of the collective. You're not caught up in the chaos right now. There is tons of it. You don't want to be a part of it. All right, guys, you got just under 90 days with this energetic new year, just under 90 days to create new habits so that when you hit January 1st, you step into that marathon pace. So chill. You've got this. I'm already manifesting. Everybody else is just starting out. You're going to have that edge, just like when we utilize the cosmos. We have the edge, right? If you have not checked out my program, Alpha by Prodigy Mindset, you need to check it out at prodigymindset.com. It is going to give you a very systematic way of how to train the mind. It took me a long time to curate something so simple, and that's really what it's about, simplifying things for ourselves. And I have simplified mindset training. It is going to elevate your mindset. You step into this right now, you're going to be ready for January 1st. Now, to our featured model, Diani. She is a beauty. Password for this is going to be photo, capital F-O-T-O, all caps. You're going to drop that code in at arlenjphoto.com. Check her out, guys, and I will check you later. Peace.